stop.
Arnold.
Left to right.
All right.
So what's this called again? Arnold. Pick an Arnold?
Pick an Arnold.
Okay, you go.
Ready?
You going?
Go.
Stop.
All right.
Right.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
One thing I forgot to do also was bring my glasses. JP.
This is learning to use advanced training principles. All right,
What are
so
the advanced
let's see.
training
What are
principles
we
he talks
talking about over here? So this is just kind of. He doesn't get into anything specific on this particular thing. This was page 199. So he's just talking in general about advanced.
What's on this side then?
This is ballistic training on the left. All right, so ballistic training, so he's talking about referring to a technique in which you drive the weight up or explode it,
Okay.
but in a smooth and controlled
Right in
manner,
your alley.
rather than lifting it at a constant speed.
Okay.
Right, so it's done with relatively heavy poundages so that the weight doesn't really move all that fast. So you have the intent of being explosive,
But the weight's so heavy.
but the weight's so heavy that if somebody's looking at it, it's not actually, it's moving so
But your
freaking slow.
intention is just.
Your intention is, right? So the attempt to force the weight to go faster accomplishes a number of things. So he's talking about, like, you know, creating variable resistance. It recruits a maximum amount of fast twitch muscle fibers,
Okay, that's true.
and it creates constant failure, right? The muscles grow when they are given a task that is beyond their capabilities, right? Because it's too heavy to move fast, right?
Yeah, and eventually you're gonna get to a rep where it's not gonna go up. It's not like you're just gonna get.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
by
you're gonna run out of steam, and it's like you're probably just gonna fail the rep.
right. Either it goes up or it's not going up.
So your thoughts
my thoughts on it?
On kind of that, right?
I kind of want to throw it back at you because this is more the way you train.
And it's funny because we kind of touched a little bit, kind of sort of, as we were talking before the camera started rolling, right?
But keeping tension on the muscle.
Keeping tension on the muscle and all that, yeah.
Yeah, no, my thoughts on that is like, I like how it says recruits a lot of fast twitch fibers because you use an explosive power, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of making you like really expect a lot of your muscle, right? So you're using heavy weights.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, we didn't read that part, but I'm sure he's controlling it down. Because I've heard the technique a lot of times that they can kind of explode up and then control down.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing lower range of reps. Because if you're doing light weight for high reps, if you're exploding up, you're throwing the weight all over.
You're throwing the weight all over the place.
So you definitely have to use like a challenging weight.
Yeah.
So I think it's good. Like because I like variety in training, right? So I think there's a time and place. So I think that would be a good part of the, say for your muscle building is like Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously bodybuilding is the goal.
Yeah.
I think, incorporate that in your training would definitely be a benefit. You know way more about that because that's more a strength training approach to bodybuilding. So this is right up JP's alley. I'm more the traditional bodybuilder techniques and stuff. JP's like the strength training coaching is your background, right?
Yeah, and
So how do you think that works as far as from a bodybuilding standpoint?
Like one of the key things in terms of being able to build muscle, right, is to be able to create not just like, you know, a constant amount of tension, but like just like increasing that mechanical tension, right? And so, you know, like if we think about basically, like, you know, like the amount of force required to actually flex and contract those muscles, right? If I have a weight that I can manage, say for whatever, 6, 8, 10 reps, whatever it's going to be, right? If I can manage it, like, then the assumption is that, like, you know, even if I'm working, you know, like the speed at which I'm like moving this weight up and down, right? I'm, you know, it's not comfortable per se, but it's like relatively comfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really stressing you out that much. Seemingly, right? Like if it's something that's within your capabilities, right? So you're basically looking to exceed your capabilities without necessarily adding more weight to the bar, right? Because now all of a sudden, like, instead of just simply moving it, now I want you to think of moving it fast, right? And because it's like the weight, there's too much resistance there, right? So it doesn't actually physically allow you to move it fast, right? Then now all of a sudden you've increased the amount of tension that you've placed on the muscle just from the intent.
Just take not a no scientific approach here. It almost sounds fun. Like, bring it down and explode that sucker.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way guys think. Come on, man, push that fast.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing. Is like, you know,
going crazy, like an element of like, I don't know, like a sprint, you like take off the blocks.
It impacts totally different.
That hits the pecs, bang that shit.
Oh yeah. And it totally impacts like different types of muscle fibers, right? Because like not all muscle fibers are created equal. Not all of them have the same capacity for growth, right? Like, some are better for endurance, right? Like,
and everyone's their muscle is built up differently. Some are more fast twitch, some are more slow twitch. For someone, this might not even be effective. Maybe it might be, or someone it might be huge results.
Yeah.
Again, knowing your body is part of it, but I do think mixing up your training.
Oh yeah.
Is the best way to maximize both worlds, right?
Yeah.
Because we all got slow twitch and fast twitch, so.
One of the things I would say in that regard, like, like when you're saying about like changing things up, right? Because I was talking with a client about this.
Don't go against what I'm saying.
I was talking.
We're a team here. So
we're on point. We're on point.
I'm just.
We're talking about newbie gains.
Oh
right?
shit! Right.
And and this was like a convo that was playing off of another trainer that had posted something about newbie gains in general, right? And newbie gains technically apply at a lot of different stages of our training, right? So the most obvious being obviously when you're actually a newbie and you're just getting started, right? And people be like, oh my god, like over the past X number of months, my strength has gone up by 40% and I've put on this much muscle and whatever, right? Yeah, because you're new, right? Like it's not going to keep going at that pace, assuming that you're a natty, right?
What'd you say? Assuming what? You're
assuming
natty?
you're natty,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's not going to keep going at that pace, right? Because your results, initially might be like this, right? And then it just kind of levels off a little bit, right? And your progression, the greater your training age, the longer that you've been training, the slower the progression.
Right.
Right? Generally speaking, right? Where that maybe changes up a little bit is when we change up the stimulus, right? So to your point, saying if you're gonna factor in different types of training or different types of intent in your training, right?
It's windy out there.
It is crazy windy right now. Like the door's gonna blow open.
Yeah, the door's blowing. Okay, let her.
Then
Arnold's coming in.
you can start tapping into some of those newbie gains, right? Because if you've been training, let's say the same old 10 to 12 reps all the time, 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps. 10
It's
to
kind of
12
like the
reps.
guy or girl who does the same thing always, over and over and over, and wonders why I'm not.
Your body adapts.
You adapt, and then
Right?
switch it up.
You get more efficient at stuff, right? So now all of a sudden, you know what? Drop it to 6 to 8 reps with explosive intent. You know what I mean?
So I'm sold on this being a warrior,
Absolutely.
a workout warrior
Absolutely.
approved. Especially if you've been training a specific way for a long
an extended period of time,
and you
yeah.
haven't tried this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you call it explosive training? What would you call
Ballistic training, he was talking
it? Well,
about.
he calls it ballistic training. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say incorporate. Man, I might incorporate that too. So there's 2 things I need to incorporate.
Oh yeah, for sure, right?
Because I haven't really played around. Because basically what we typically do is either you use crap perform or you use control. I use control all the way through, all the way up, all the way down. I'm always in control.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more like explode.
Explode.
You're
yeah.
controlling it still, but
The two things,
the intent is explosion.
Yeah, the 2 areas where I find a lot of people get stuck in, right, is either first example, the first example being that because we're talking about if you've been training the same way for too long, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the ways that people I find that get stuck with, right? Again, because what does too long mean, right? Too long means if you're talking about months and months and months worth of the same strategy, the same intent and everything in your training, right? Because it gets to a point where if you're actually tracking your performance, if you're actually writing down all your shit, right? And you're looking at
the best results, I do encourage tracking.
Journal your shit.
I get way better results because I don't always track it because you can't track our whole life always. But if you got a goal and you start tracking, you'll see that you get there way faster.
Yeah.
You get way better results than you were getting prior. You're like, oh my God.
You're gauging your strength, you're gauging your reps, you're gauging whatever.
Diet,
your
sleep,
diet, everything, right?
Your cardio.
But some people get so stuck in doing those same workouts over and over and over for way too long, to the point where you get to a point of diminishing returns, your body doesn't necessarily respond to those same workouts anymore. And then the flip side The other side where I think people get stuck a lot is doing different shit all the time.
Yeah, some people switch it up too soon.
It's too soon,
let
right?
your
Like,
body
you know,
get used to this first.
Yeah, like let your body adapt. Like, you know,
So they take muscle confusion principle too far.
right? And
Like I'm gonna walk in there every day and confuse the hell out of myself.
yeah, part of it is like allowing your body to go through those adaptations in order to be able to grow or lean out or
Engage it.
whatever, like, you know, increase your strength, whatever the goal happens to be, right? So, you know, like, so this, I think would be something good. Like, you know, like if somebody is like, let's say, if you've been, whatever, 2 months, 3 months, you know, like 4 months even, like depending on the type of training that you're doing, and now you're looking for something that's going to switch it up, because you switch to, it doesn't have to be this, but you know, because you're switching to a different stimulus altogether, now all of a sudden you can tap into a little bit of those newbie gains, not because you are new to the gym or anything like that, but the stimulus is new.
So
right?
JP, you're telling me that, that if I switch to ballistic training starting Monday, I can get newbie gains at my age?
Newbie gains, baby. Right?
Natural?
As long as you don't stay on ballistic training, right? Because then you're gonna have to switch it up again at some point.
So so ballistic training is workout warrior approved.
Workout warrior approved, baby.
Let's do one more of these things. Let's just keep doing these things until our camera says.
Oh shit. All right.
I can't.